Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com. And by the Ohio Arts Council, a state agency that funds and supports quality arts experiences.
This time on Broad and High, women sculptors explore themes of equality through clay, and the work of preserving and restoring classic films is happening right here in Columbus. This and more right now on Broad and High. Welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Manneke. Women's History Month is celebrated during March, so it seems fitting that a new exhibit on view at the Ohio Craft Museum is dedicated to contemporary women sculptors. The show features work by 13 female artists from across the country and focuses on each artist's interpretation of equality in today's society.
This exhibit is a group of women artists that we put together, ceramic sculptors from around the United States. We wanted to choose a theme that is a contemporary, important theme right now, and we wanted to choose something that we could make beautiful work and poignant images, and something that was true to our hearts and part of our experience right now. And so we came up with the theme of equality. And of course, equality means different things to different people, but this exhibit features more than just female perspective on what it is to grow up female and sort of the parameters we feel society places on us. This piece that we see behind us is Linda Ganstrom's piece. She refers to Alice in Wonderland, the book, and the character of Alice, and she wants to reinvent this character. When I see this piece, the first thing we see is this sort of garish embellishment, the taffeta, and the bodies themselves of the women are embellished almost like Corinthian columns. They're very beautiful and very commanding. They're the first thing you see when you walk into the exhibition. And it's representative of the beauty they have and the power that that beauty has. But what I'm particularly drawn to is not just their beauty, but they have a presence, they have a strength, particularly the one that's sort of looking upwards. I feel like she's looking beyond the idea of being just beautiful. And I think perhaps that's the idea of the maker, is to look beyond this idea that we are only powerful by our beauty. I think a lot of the pieces in the exhibit discuss issues that are ongoing sort of problems that we have in society, things that we need to figure out a solution to.
I'm a mother. I have both a son and a daughter, and so I don't think about equality so much for women, but as for everyone. And now, as we become more global, you begin to look at other cultures and the way they view women and men, and realize I think I have an internal dialogue with myself about equality and fairness for everybody. It's been a really hard struggle for us, I think, as humans forever, to view each other equitably. I have a baby on the wall that carries a quote from Philo of Alexandria that says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is doing a great battle."
And I think that quote really holds a key to embracing diversity and to solving the problem of inequality. If we were to each treat each other with kindness and treat each other as though we are each doing a great battle, then I feel like this would take care of all these issues that the artists are discussing in this exhibition. So I'm particularly drawn to that piece because I feel like it's more than just, it's not complaining about inequality, it's perhaps encouraging us to find solutions to it.
Equality is on view at the Ohio Craft Museum in Grandview through March 26th. Visit ohiocraft.org to learn more. You might be surprised to learn that there is an arm of an international film company nestled right here in the Short North. It's the Cohen Film Collection. They oversee the restoration and preservation of rare movie classics that are owned by the Cohen Media Group, including the entire Buster Keaton library, and we got to take a special peek inside.
So I'm working on a trailer for one of our Buster Keaton films. It's called Sherlock Jr. The whole premise is that Buster is a wannabe detective. So there's a pretty cool stunt right here where the car literally splits in half and becomes a boat. So I think I like that.
So Cohen Media Group is a distributor of new films and, with Cohen Film Collection, classic films from around the world, and a distributor theatrically on home video. We have a Hulu channel. What we do, what other people who are working on restorations do, we have a high-resolution scan made from the best element or elements available to us. And then there's the process of digital cleanup, getting rid of dust and scratches and sparkle.
And I can literally go frame by frame, and if I see something, like this for instance, I can then come over here and make the correction, and the correction's instantaneous or nearly instantaneous.
We recently licensed and are re-releasing a film called Daughters of the Dust by Julie Dash. It's the only feature on the National Registry by an African-American woman. So we're working with UCLA to do part of the restoration. We're going to do some additional cleanup here.
It's 25 years old. It dates back to the very late 80s, very early 90s. It's really a wonderful film on a lot of levels. So we want to make sure that the presentation is kind of fat and rich and happy as we can possibly make it. There's an emulsion scratch right here that we can get rid of actually very, very easily. And there we go, as new, as if it never existed. If you toggle back and forth, you can kind of see the change or lack of change there. And that's what we're looking for.
There are things that can be done digitally that just could not have been done photochemically. And restoration previous to this sort of digital era was done photochemically.
This shot has actually got some really ugly stuff in it. You can actually see things like printed in hair, and here's a piece of dirt.
We work with a number of great venues in the country and really around the world. And the Wexner Center here in Columbus is a frequent partner and a very valuable partner for us.
I keep saying there has to be somewhere where an audience can go and remember what an image is supposed to look like. You know, we pride ourselves on that. We want people to be able to come here and know that they're seeing something the way it's supposed to be seen. Most of the companies that we deal with are either in New York or Los Angeles, and so it is nice to have one of the companies here in Columbus.
The Cohen Film Collection, to begin, is comprised of hundreds of classic motion pictures dating from 1898 up until the 2000s.
And we're gonna really rev them up!
And it was amassed beginning in the late 1940s. It's been in Columbus since the mid-1980s. At that time, it was known as the Rohauer Collection, and Raymond Rohauer is the person who actually amassed the collection beginning in the late 40s. He became business partners with Buster Keaton and rescued many of those Keaton films. We have copies of all of his silent films, some of his sound films, and some of the films that he was in prior to having his own production company, so dating back to 1917, 1918. But we also hold at the Library of Congress original film materials. So for instance, we have the original camera negative for what is probably his best-known film, The General.
Film is really, in a strange kind of way, film is very alive. That it's been through a life. And that it's also, even though it's chemistry and plastic stuff, it has an organic quality to it. It's very much like people. It ages, it changes. So these tools that we use are our way of helping kind of combat that loss.
You can stream the Cohen Film Collection on Hulu. Films by D.W. Griffith, Buster Keaton, and Alfred Hitchcock are available, as well as select new releases. Visit CohenFilmCollection.net to learn more. Hilliard artist Toni Lipsey learned to crochet when she was 13, and she was immediately hooked. She demonstrates for us her love of the craft and gives us an introduction to a little guy named Owlbert.
To make sure I keep my count. Like whenever I'm crocheting, I count like every row. I think playful and practical really help to define kind of the things that I like to make and especially the things that I like to share with others. If I could, I would love to teach everyone how to do this. I am the owner of TL Yarn Crafts. It's a crochet, home goods, and accessories business. I run primarily on Etsy, but I do a lot of craft shows around the holidays. I learned crochet when I was 13 years old. I was bored to tears over summer break, and I was driving my mother insane. And she was looking for something to kind of keep me busy, keep me occupied. And she grabbed a crochet hook and some yarn out of her stash, and she taught me how to make a granny square. And she told me, keep going, and it'll turn into a blanket. And I worked on that thing all summer. But I just remember at the time, like, just watching my hands make something that didn't exist before. It was kind of fascinating for such a young person, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm making an Owlbert. So he is going to ultimately be an owl, about ornament size. So perfect for like a Christmas tree or hanging up in your car, or, you know, there's always one owl lover in the family who can find something to do with an owl ornament. Is by far one of my favorite things to make. This is a wool blend. So if something happens to Albert, he falls in a puddle or baby gets applesauce on him, he can be popped in the washing machine. Really easy to take care of. I want people, especially for the first time, to experience crochet in a very simple and straightforward way. So if I can make it approachable, I try my best to do that. I keep a project bag with me everywhere I go, and I mean, if I'm at the doctor's office, if I'm waiting in the drive-thru too long, I'm pulling out one of my crochet projects. Wish I could just teach the world to love crochet. I wish I could, yeah. I mean, once you get your hands into it and you really experience, it's just fascinating. It's very exciting. It's not just your grandma or your aunt who made that kind of itchy sweater. It's something that is, that is contemporary and modern and that you can infuse into your own style. I will crochet all day, every day for the rest of my life. I want to kind of redefine how people see, crochet in their lives.
The artist in this next segment is a photographer who creates a unique look by hand etching her images. Lisa Garness Mallory of Denver uses a needle to scratch out color and create depth in her digital photographs. Our friends at Rocky Mountain PBS bring us this story.
Oh my gosh, look. Wow, that's exciting because I like these. When I started this process, I would call it an answer to prayers. One night, it just came to me, I wonder what would happen if I would use needles to start etching off the emulsion of my digital photography. I discovered that I could enhance lines and textures, as well as create depth and light. When you first look at it, the naked eye can't see all the detail until I use a macro lens. And then the detail is what I concentrate on etching. I call my art form etch photography, but it's basically altering and enhancing my photograph. It alters the image by the white marks that I'm making. Every white mark on my photographs is my creative mark. My work has been called feminine yet edgy. My main love is nature. I'll never divert from that, especially florals and butterflies and deer. I seem to have a way with animals. I actually would get extremely close to my subjects, you know, deer, elk, and it's interesting how they seemed to understand that I wasn't going to hurt them. I feel a connection spiritually. I don't know how else to explain that, and I just think it's a God-given gift. The reason the orchids are my favorite flower is because sometimes they take on the look of, this one looks like a little child sitting on the edge of the leaf with their legs hanging over. And orchids to me are like the epitome of femininity. The way that they're shaped, their laciness, the lines and the textures, and I love macro because I can put the camera in the middle of the flower and get every little detail. Some people think you have to have a very expensive camera in order to be able to call yourself a professional, and I don't agree with that. This camera has done well for me as far as my macro shots. Since my etching involves taking away color in order to enhance the flower, then I try to get a darker shot. The darker, the better. I survived 2 life-threatening illnesses in 2010, and according to my physician, it's a miracle that I'm alive. Half the reason I fought to live was to continue my artist journey. I discovered, because I had a slight brain injury, that I had forgotten how to do my etching technique. So I used the work that I had done prior to my illness to relearn. During the year that I was recovering, my work was juried into my first 2 international shows. So as I was relearning my process, I was also evolving the process. I like to take certain areas that are already standing out from the photograph and create depth with that. So I have to be very cognizant of that, because if I etched everything the same, it would come out flat. I know it sounds maybe a little strange to say that I look at my work like a child in a way, but as I'm working on each piece, I get very emotionally attached to each one, because I know that I'm developing it, and each mark that I make might be some new mark. But you know, my goal is to have each piece go to a forever home. Oh, this is perfect. Another effect that I love, if I can get it on flowers, any breed, is water, because I'll etch around each water drop. Although I classify myself as a fine art photography artist. I'm considered a pioneer in both the fine art and fine art photography mediums. And when I saw my large pieces hanging on the wall of Caribou Art Gallery, it was breathtaking for me. That's the first time that I had ever had my work enlarged that size. It was definitely a milestone in my career. When you have that within yourself, it's a drive, it's a passion, and you don't want to give that up. Every artist, that's part of them as a person. Art can bring you through the illness because it gives you moments you don't even think about your suffering. I mean, it gives you a want to live so that you can continue what you do for future generations to enjoy. That's how I am. I'm like, oh, yes. Okay, I got really excited about that. Oh my gosh.
For years, designer Amir Taghi has woven himself into the fabric of Houston. And at the young age of 18, he showcased his women's fashion collection on the runways of New York Fashion Week. Take a look.
Fashion is a job that's always changing. It's different from anything else. You're inventing, you're creating, you're looking for ideas. So you're always up and about, looking at images, looking at different things and creating, and that's what I love about it. My name is Amir Taghi, and I'm a fashion designer, and I'm 18 years old. I was 15 when I first showed my collection. I was a freshman in high school. I showed it at my house. The runway was over the pool and we had models that were my classmates. And I wanted to keep it very high school, I guess, and show like the talent that we have at my school. The Amir Taghi label is a mixture of feminine but still very modern and sleek at the same time. A lot of dresses and lace, and after that it was more a developed collection with tops and bottoms, sportswear, evening wear, and it completely changed for me in the outlook I had in fashion. I'm in high school right now, so it's quite difficult to manage my time because at this time and moment I'm applying for college, I'm creating a collection for fall, so I'm always tied between different things. I interned with Oscar during my sophomore summer of high school. What I took away from my internship at Oscar de la Renta was really sticking to my passion and going with it and pursuing it as hard as I can, because Oscar, while he was there, he would go to work pretty much every single day, and it showed his determination to really show what he really loves, and I took that away from it. I was asked by a couple of people, why do I not try New York Fashion Week? I got an email from a group in New York that has been doing Fashion Week presentations in their space, and I was asked to participate as well and show my collection privately. And so it was a very surreal point of my time that I never knew that at such a young age, at only 18, I could be able to show a collection at New York Fashion Week. My fashion style has been evolving since the beginning, but I try to always stick to my roots, and my roots are having a very feminine silhouette, but very minimalistic, very to the point. When creating a collection, it starts out with a conceptual idea. So for example, my last collection was Strong Woman. So I wanted to portray that image, and so I started finding very strong images, including strong art pieces and then very strong colors, and we started sketching the pieces. And from then, I sent my sketches to our manufacturer, and we started draping the pieces and creating the patterns. From then on, we were styling, and then the show came and we presented the collection. I want to express a woman that's fierce and confident, a woman that's not afraid to show who she really is and not afraid to wear what she wants to wear. I want people to feel that they're wearing a new, innovative designer. I got to become a designer at such a young age. Yes, because of my family's support, but also because of persistence. I feel like persistence is a very key point in becoming whatever you want to be.
That's our show. To see all of today's stories, visit WOSU.org. You can also find them on our free WOSU Public Media mobile app. And be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're closing out today's show with some tunes by Ohio singer-songwriter Mark Cantwell. This track is off his 2015 album, Diggin' on You. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week on Broad and High.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com. And by the Ohio Arts Council, a state agency that funds and supports quality arts experiences.